Olá pessoal da R7, eu sou o Gustavo e hoje nós estamos aqui para entrevistar uma lenda do esporte. Chester Williams foi campeão mundial de rugby pela seleção da África do Sul em 1995. Representa muito para o país dele e para o esporte mundialmente falando. E hoje ele nos deu a honra de estar aqui no estúdio com a gente para responder algumas perguntas. Chester, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here as well in your lovely country in Sao Paulo.
First of all, you are a hero in your country due to all that you did for the sport and also for the people. But unfortunately, in Brazil, rugby isn't a very known sport.
Yes.
So could you please tell us a little about your career as a rugby player?
Well, I mean, as you just said, I'm a hero at home, but rugby is like soccer, football here in Brazil, back home in South Africa, because it's when you grow up as a child, you play rugby, a little bit of football, but you focus more on the rugby side, and that's how I started to play rugby. And obviously my dad played rugby and my uncles played rugby for a black team, so I was watching them and supporting them. And then I also wanted to be playing in this team that my dad were playing, and the older I get, and the more I realize I can become actually better than that. I can maybe become play for my state team, and then from my state team I can play for the Springboks, and I just work hard and had the discipline to become a Springbok one day. And I played in the 1995 Rugby World Cup, of which most people know that. That rugby game or tournament united South Africa as one rainbow nation.
Yes, it was played in South Africa, the World Cup.
Yes, it was played in South Africa. I mean, I think Nelson Mandela played a big role in for us to host the Rugby World Cup in 1995. And it was a great experience for us as a nation.
And how did you feel to be part of that team? Did you believe that time that it could be possible to be champion?
Well, it was obviously a proud moment and an honor for me to play for my country and then represent them in the Rugby World Cup is even more, because you get it maybe once, maybe twice in your lifetime. You might play a World Cup for your country, and for us to showcase that what we can do as South Africans in a Rugby World Cup was amazing. And I don't think we believe as a nation that we can win the Rugby World Cup, but the players inside knew they have a good chance of getting maybe to the final. And but the closer we go and the more we play in the tournament, the more we're starting to believe that we actually have a good chance of beating the mighty All Blacks.
What did you feel when you saw such important part of your history in Victor's movie, and how close is the movie to what really happened?
Well, again, it's a proud moment for us as South Africans and myself, to see that they've made a movie of the history of the country, and rugby played such a major role in uniting the country. And yes, it's a true reflection of what happened pre-apartheid, during apartheid, and after apartheid, when Nelson Mandela and the Springbok team and myself united the country as a nation, And so yes, it's a great movie. It's a true reflection of South Africa, and it tells the story about South Africa, what South Africa is about, and yes, so it's an amazing country to visit.
How much your life changed after that time?
It has changed my life tremendously, or actually everything, because I would not have sat here if I was not a hero and then with the Springbok team. And so it changed not only my life, it changed a lot of South Africans' lives for the better. We became one nation, we work together, we play together, we talk together, we have fun together, and rugby gave that to me as an individual. So I'm very lucky and honoured to have been part of that team Rugby World Cup final.
How close were you to Nelson Mandela? And how did he affected your life and your career?
Well, I think, we became very good friends, and Nelson Mandela, we would obviously have lunches and dinners together, and we talk about everybody's everyday life stories and about his life in prison, about what happened, how he planned to, with the World Cup, how he can get the nation together. So yes, we were quite close friends.
Okay. Why are you visiting Brazil right now? Do you have any project related to rugby, to our country?
I came here to visit Brazil through a company called Sports Spokesman. They invited me to come and do a palanta, or it's a presentation to talk about blood, sweat and tears, about my career, about what happened in apartheid, and the relationship with myself and Nelson Mandela. So I'm going to talk about that on Monday evening at 8 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to it, for my experience to tell the Brazilian people where I'm coming from.
Chester, nice to meet you. It's an honor to meet a hero like you. We are talking backstage about Aranha, goalkeeper from Santos.
Yes.
And the episode about the races. What can you tell about this?
Well, I think I think racism it's become a world problem, because it not only happened here in Brazil, but it happened somewhere in England as well, and it also happened in Russia, if I'm 100% right. And it is a problem that we need to address. But I think there's two things that Nelson Mandela taught me about the situations like this, is that we need to be more respectful to one another and tolerant, and because it took him, he was in 27 years in jail, and yet when he came out there, he respect everyone, and he tolerated everybody's culture, their history, the language that they talk, and that's what we need to do as individuals all over the world, to accept one another for who they are and what they are.
Aranha decided to sue the supporter for the other team. What do you think about this? He's correct in his attitude?
Well, that's his right to do that, because if someone calls you a racial name, which is actually not fair to anyone in the world, whether it's a white person speaking to a black person speaking to a white person, he doesn't have the right to do that. So he's in his rights to do that, and it's just a matter of how we're going to deal with it. That's just the important part of how he's going to address the situation with the soccer government or the political government, how they're going to get together to make sure that this issue can be dealt with right.
Can you please say some words to Aranha and other people who are facing this kind of problem with racism?
Well, it's as I said, you have to be respectful and tolerant and accept one another for who they are and what they are, and especially like players like the soccer players, the football players. They represent your country and they present your country all across the world, and those are the guys that are going to put out showcase what sort of Brazil is about. And you need to support those players, and we need when we came together as a nation, it was because of rugby. And so does football, does that to your country as well. It's getting people together at stadiums, at getting with the Olympics now, when the Rugby World Cup soccer was finished now, they brought all the people here, and now the Olympics is coming. So people want to see a democratical, peaceful Brazil, and if they're not working together, people might not come and visit your country, and it becomes a big problem for Brazil. But it's important that people accept one another. Yeah.
I would like to thank you for your presence here and for your words.
Yeah, Chester, it was a great honor to have you here with us. And do you think that rugby can be played in Brazil?
Yes, I do think rugby can be played here, because I saw a lot of young players over the last 5 days I've been here, which is great. When you start with the young kids, that's when you actually build a foundation. And I saw a lot of good rugby players that is already 18 years old, so they can actually become very good players for the Olympics, and with a few senior players in between. So I'm very excited about the Brazil rugby, and I know they can be very competitive. And also rugby is a great medium for kids to get the release of the pressure, the stress, the aggression in rugby. See, so when they, because I was one of one of your townships where a few kids were playing, and I spoke to some of the teachers there, and they told me that since those kids are playing rugby, they have calmed down, they become more respectful to one another, they have more discipline, they listen. So rugby is really a good sport for kids to participate in. And people think it's a hooligan sport, but it's not. It's not so aggressive. It's just a matter of, if you understand the law, you can only play within the law. It's like soccer, football, you know, you have to play in the law. So exactly with rugby, you can't get hurt, really seriously hurt, unless you're not conditioned for it.
You had any serious
injury
in your career?
Yes, not the serious injury. I just hurt my knee, but that happened in soccer as well. I mean, I torn my anterior cruciate ligament because I was overtrained. That's the only reason I torn my ligament, but not
caused by violence.
Not caused by by tackle or by anything on the rugby field. It was just bad luck at a training session.
É isso. A gente finaliza aqui com o Chester, então, agradecendo. Thank you very much for your presence. E a gente volta, então, para falar de outros esportes. Acompanhe tudo sobre esportes no R7. Obrigado, um abraço.